Sunrise breaks across the ocean. The coffee's brewing and the day is new. I like to sit right here and watch the morning until the sky turns into a field of blue. What I need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take me at least a week to clear my mind. Yeah, I'm gonna need a little downtime. It's a perfect beach day, what don't you think? It's a perfect house day too. And just glad to be here. Yeah, it's warmer than Nashville. It don't really matter what we do. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take us at least a week to clear our minds. Yeah, we really need a little downtime. A little downtime.
Hey folks, it is I, Jason Hyatt with RoundTable Ranch on the CTW TV network. And we actually have a guest today who didn't crap out on us. It's not the, I'm exhausted, so this is going to work out great. But anyway, we have Joshua again. And we got a few things to talk about. And I wanted to talk about the second victim phenomenon. So I'm going to bring him on. And he's already introduced himself last time. He might give you a small preview again for the new watchers. And then he'll take it away. So without further ado, Joshua.
Hey.
Can you turn up your volume on your mic just a hair?
Just a hair.
Just a hair.
Better?
A little better. There you go.
All right. So yeah, my name is Joshua Norton. I'm an AEMT that works in a fairly busy county here in Georgia. Been doing this for about 2 years. Kind of been through the ringer there. Seen a lot of stuff that I wasn't really expecting to see within my first year working there, but lo and behold, cards were not laid in my favor. And yeah.
So what is this second victim phenomenon you want to talk about? Because this is not something I've ever heard of.
It wasn't actually something I'd heard of before until I had a coworker tell me about it. Second victim syndrome, SVS, it's a phenomenon that affects anybody in the healthcare industry, and I would even extend it to other first responders on specific calls. It's a phenomenon in healthcare providers that defined as a feelings of guilt, inadequacy, or incompetence following an unexpected negative patient outcome.
Or kind of like a moral injury type deal.
Yeah, it has a lot in common to do with that. One of the articles I came across in, what was it? I want to say it was GEMS or the EMS1 journal doing some research on this, actually mentioned that a lot of this actually comes from moral injury. So one of the more recent big public things that has happened in the medical field that does relate to this was, I believe it was Kentucky. A nurse had messed up. She was real tired training a new person, and she administered the wrong medication to a patient, and the patient had died because of her misstep. Well, of course, she felt like garbage about it. I mean, nobody in the healthcare profession wants to cause bodily harm to people.
Yeah.
That's just one of those things that, I mean, we might make sideways jokes, but at the end of the day, we got into this field to help people. So that's one of those things that really is a big moral injury. And so what happened was she just felt awful for it. And everybody else in the room, after they realized that she had made the mistake, they also felt awful for it too, even though they weren't directly involved with the medication administration. They were still there and they witnessed an unexpected outcome.
All right. Sounds like two sides of the same coin, though, for sure.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, a lot of the literature on it talks about it leading with side by side with a moral injury, something that you personally just can't get beyond because it's something that goes against all your morals. And then also it talks a lot about, let's see here. It also talks a lot about it also being a contributor to burnout, to depression, anxiety disorders. All this stuff can be associated from second victim syndrome.
so it's not phenomenon; it's syndrome.
So yeah, it is a syndrome. It's something that comes on and it's spurred on by the medical error happening or unexpected outcome.
Yeah.
And one of the things more recently that happened was very pertinent to me was we're transporting this young 30-something-year-old, right? She was complaining it's generalized weakness. You think 30 years old, okay, it's not that bad. She went from talking and having a heartbeat on the cardiac monitor to limp, no pulse. So that went really unexpected. Now, granted, there was a good outcome from it. They got her back and she ended up leaving the hospital, but that was not something that we were really expecting.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that when it happens, it's just an immediately shocks your entire system, and then you start stressing out about it. For after a while, if it's a significant enough event, you can get the second victim syndrome where you start feeling that you have burnout, depression, PTSD from it, and anxiety issues. A lot of the stuff in the GEMS journal was actually talking about that, mostly leaning heavily on anxiety issues, depression issues, PTSD.
This wasn't really expecting it to be a moral injury, PTSD, which the D on PTSD should not
Mm-hmm.
exist. It's not a disorder. So,
Yeah. It's just one of those things that's kind of stuck around from the burgeoning of mental health.
well, yeah. I mean, at least they don't call it battlefield fatigue anymore.
Yeah, back then you would get shot if you refused to go back into combat.
Yeah, shell shock, battlefield
Mm-hmm.
fatigue, all that craziness. But still, I don't consider myself having a disorder, even though I am slightly retarded.
I think all of us are that way sometimes.
But I legitimately can say I'm slightly retarded. I have scar tissue in my right frontal
Mm-hmm.
lobe, which retards the synapses and the flow of messaging. So therefore, my brain is retarded.
At least we're not talking about engines or mechanics like that. We definitely have to be careful with the PC police.
No kidding. I mean, what I do, I make fun of myself because I have
Mm-hmm.
to. If I don't, then I'll just be a lump of lard sitting on a bench somewhere trying to twiddle my thumbs and forgetting how.
Yep.
So, But yeah, interesting. So, what are they doing for second victim syndrome that is maybe
Um,
different than PTS or TBI or any of the other ones?
Not a lot, really. It's a lot of the same stuff because you deal with the same issues of the depression, the anxiety associated from it. A lot of it is overlapping treatment. And again, with there just being so many complexities to emotional health and all the other associated things within the human body, there's always going to be something new cropping up. Like, you had never heard of the second victim syndrome. I had never heard of it before, but it's just one of those things that people start to discover doesn't exactly fit the bill for, say, PTS or PTSD, because it's not related to necessarily something traumatic happening to you, but witnessing something traumatic happening.
Yeah, I mean that really is like you're breaking down like different types of
Mm-hmm.
post traumatic stress.
Yes.
No matter what, it's a traumatic event that causes each of these things. We moral injury,
Mm-hmm.
second victim, um, crowd anxiety. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that they're trying to break PTSD or PTS down into that. I don't know if they're trying to make people feel better about themselves or trying to make it less anything.
I think it has more to do with the minor differences between the different diagnoses that you can get.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're suffering from second victim syndrome, you'll sit there, especially as a medical professional, and look over standard PTS or PTSD, and you'll sit there and look at it, and you'll be that I don't fit the bill for that exactly. I mean, I guess I can kind of see it, but that's not 100% it. But
Yeah.
then actually having a term that you can be labeled with, I think for some people it might provide some relief of just understanding what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of people that won't get help because they don't want to see themselves as broken. But unfortunately, that's the first band aid you got to rip off and just accept that everybody's broken to their own extent.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get help for years because I didn't think anything was wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, nobody would tell me that I was having an issue. I didn't see me having issues. I mean, the biggest flag for me that I knew I had an issue is when I had a flashback. But
Yeah.
I guess that had been months after all my issues started. So I no idea. So if you got family members around you, you should hopefully they'll tell you, hey, you're starting to do little things like this. You know, you're talking in your sleep, which
Hmm.
if you didn't talk in your sleep before, you're thrashing about in your sleep. Obviously, these are things you're not going to know.
Yeah.
You know, you're sleepwalking, which at one point I had a problem with.
I mean, a lot of the symptoms you get from this, though, you don't really think too much about it until someone brings it up. Because with depression and burnout and all that other stuff, you kind of have the mindset of that's not me, that's not what's going on. I'm just tired. I'm just this, that, or the other, trying to come up with something else to cause or the come up with something else as the causation of the problems without thinking that could be something else just because it's easier sometimes.
It's very true. Like, I know when I'm starting to get depressed, and I know I'm just going to have to ride it out because it's a cycle. It happens. Um, but I still try to make myself do things when I'm starting to feel that. Like, if I don't do anything, it gets worse.
Hmm.
If I start, like, I'll have a list of projects and go, I am going to get these done today no matter what. Doesn't matter how much pain I'm in, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And if I make myself do things, I can kind of get through it faster. So, but I am right now, I don't know if you can see, I'm gandering at my puppies.
Yeah, you had what, 9 of them was the final tally?
10.
10, man.
Yeah. Number 7 and I are bonded. We might have to keep her.
Oh, well, at least it's a female this time, and Yona
Well,
shouldn't be a murder machine.
but I really will have a hard time giving her away. She came out breech. Why I grabbed the wrong end of the amniotic flip sack, and she actually drowned and was dead for a few seconds, and I had to
Oh,
bring
that's
her
not
back.
good.
So I'm a little attached to that one.
I can tell.
So I didn't lose any this time. Last litter I lost one. This litter I did not. I refused to lose a puppy. So, but still sleeping in the shop. I will for the next, another 2 days. I think of still sleeping in the shop because that puppy has to be checked every hour for symptoms, signs of pneumonia.
Yeah.
So, but so far so good. So, oh, it's been
Yeah.
rough.
So back on the subject of second victim syndrome, we have a list of a few things that actually fit a lot of things when generally, if you're a first responder, whether it be fire or EMS or even a police officer on scene trying to provide aid to somebody, you might feel these things after the call of doing something stupid or something bad happened. Feelings of guilt, humiliation, worthlessness. You start questioning, am I going to get fired for this? Did I really, really mess up? Being worried about getting sued. I know that's a very, very big one in EMS since
Yeah.
most of the time your agency is really not going to cover you, and you hope that your malpractice insurance is up to date.
Yeah.
And then, of course, another thing that second victim syndrome that a lot of people everywhere think about is, people are going to think that I'm incompetent. I don't know how to do my job. And unfortunately, just like EMS always, kind of get the short end of the stick on it. Most ambulance services in the US are either private or fire based.
Yeah.
And within most of the privates, a few of them are hospital based. Most of them are just privately owned and operated. But for the most part, there's not that many benefits being offered for things like second victim syndrome. I know, like, especially where I work, since it is hospital based, we do have the counselors, the chaplain, everybody else that can come in and talk to us just as being an extension of the hospital itself since I already work there. But then you have, your private companies. They're privately owned, operated. They have no ties to anything. They don't really have these benefits. You hope that your insurance will cover to go to a therapist and maybe find a therapist that can help you. But for the most part, it's kind of glanced over.
Well, if you're in this area, I know one place you can go and get help. First responders, law enforcement, and veterans don't pay anything. So there is that. You got the Warriors Ranch. They don't they
Mm-hmm.
offer all those services for free to all of us.
Yeah.
So um,
Uh, You know, I think we might have someone in Hollywood watching our show.
why
Uh,
is that?
so you know the hilarious but interesting to watch show 911.
Yeah.
Newest episode, they actually at the spoilers, people. If you haven't seen it, spoilers. Sorry, not sorry. They ended off with one of their firefighters who's been through the ringer, because of course it's a drama show. But
Yeah.
before that, he was also in the army as a medic trying to save people. Well, he started dealing with his PTSD coming back like a just massive wave on him. But at the end of the show, guess where they ended up going to try to get him to feel better?
An equine
Equin.
therapy ranch.
Yep.
Well, if you do a quick Google search for PTSD treatments in the last 2 years, equine therapy has really taken off. Of course, I keep track of it because of my situation, but a few years ago, you would have never found a huge posting like, "Hey, donate to this group for equine therapy." It's like, really? Where was this when I was active duty? Because this
Yeah.
would have been great. Because maybe I had a chance to stay active duty. But
Well, it's interesting though. You were what, Scout Cav?
yeah, cavalry scout. Yeah.
Yeah. Why
So
didn't they have horses anymore? It would have helped people. Yeah,
they
I know you
still have
can't use them. You can't use them for combat, but for parades and stuff, and then you'd
yeah.
still have the benefits.
I mean, they use them at Fort Hood, uh, parade detail, funeral detail, change of command, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, you have a horse detachment. I'm sure there's a few others that have them. I think Carson might have a horse detachment too. But it hasn't even been that long since the U.S. government has decided that service dogs will actually help people with PTSD or a TBI. I mean, I got my first one 8 years ago, and that's when the VA had just started their program. So
Well, you just said the main problem there, government.
yeah, I mean everything's controlled by the government, in one way or another. Equine therapy has to be an accepted form of therapy for anybody to get paid for it.
Hmm.
So the government would have to say, yeah, this is an acceptable form of therapy for somebody to get, to start their business and have taxes and all the other stuff because the government says, yeah, you can do this for therapy. I mean, it's weird stuff. So, but yeah, equine therapy, great place, great thing to do. They'll help you.
Yep.
Horses know what we don't want them to know for some reason.
Every animal kind of knows that, though. You sit there and pay attention enough, animals, you know, everybody, every creature, it has some kind of sixth sense, that just gut feeling that most of us humans go off of.
Yeah,
Like if you're sitting there talking to some guy and you got a weird feeling in your gut about him, and then he tries to punch you in the face or something. There you go.
that's true. Yeah, I mean it's but animals are just crazy. I don't. Sometimes I don't understand how they do things that they do, but they do quite well. So, not all animals gonna try to give you a hug when you feel like crap. Of course, dogs will.
Yeah.
As we're finding out, horses will too. And then goats. Goats are kind of funny too. So you can sit there and watch goats. Goats will make you feel funny.
Yeah, goats are weird. Just don't look them in the eyes. It's not natural.
What, their sideways pupils aren't natural?
Oh no, an eye should not be a rectangle.
Their eyeballs are the same shape as the bottom of my jacks on the camper. They do that little weird bow tie
Yep.
funky thing. Yeah, it's bad. But I liked watching the goats. Watching the goats was fun. It's like now I'm watching the chickens and cursing every single day because I have one that's stupid.
I mean, their brain's the size of a pea, so you can't
It-
expect much from them.
no, but if if you get stuck in the same place every single day, multiple times a day, you probably shouldn't go back to that place.
How big is the chicken?
She's pretty big.
Sounds like she's about to be for dinner.
After I get all these other chickens raised up to lay eggs, yes.
It's the only real solution for a farm animal like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't name the hens. I'll name the rooster, but I will not name the hens because the hens will end up in the freezer. They stop laying eggs, they go in the freezer. Which is why we
Well,
keep hatching more chickens. Which is this hobby of mine has given me kind of a sense of purpose, which is something we talk about on the show,
mhm.
uh, and it's pretty fun. Um, of course, people are messaging me on Facebook when I'm not on Facebook. Come on now, people. Post your comments over here. Oh, there, that way, or there. If you're watching on Facebook, comments go there. All right. Anyway, I'm enjoying this. But every day it's about the same time. I go out and look for eggs, I feed the chickens. I feed the medium chickens in their little A-frame coop. And I go in the garage and I feed the baby chickens, which are in their brooding box. And then I feed the fish. I feed the cat, and then feed the dogs. But it's like a timeline that I have to set for myself, which is kind of keeping me on my toes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, modern day, everything being so fast paced and busy, most people usually end up getting lost and don't feel like they have purpose, just even with the general population. Then, when you really think about it, I mean, if the only thing you really have to look forward to is getting home after your mind numbing 9 to 5 job to just take your shoes off and watch a show, you don't really have much of a purpose anyway.
Yeah.
So having anything really, any kind of hobby or anything to take care of really kind of helps with that.
Oh yeah. I mean that's why I started working on knives. It's a hobby. It makes me feel good. Um, Doing these shows, like when I first did uh, the Shooter's Rest Radio, I I enjoyed it thoroughly, and we were doing 3 hours every Wednesday, and not just 1 hour. And it was a way to connect with other people, obviously that had the same mindset. But it was also it gave me a way to tone out my other problem I had and focus on something when I retired, and
Yeah.
it worked out. So this show is a hobby. It's a hobby that can help everybody else. The dogs, I can't say that's a hobby. That's a drive. That's something that I not only feel good about, but I can watch it still happen as I stay connected with all these people that get the dogs. So, I mean, there's only a few dogs that went places that I have no contact with them for some reason, and I think two. There's two dogs that I really don't talk to the people that have them, but I do get updates from other people, so
Yeah.
it does help. But I can feel good about it. It's like I get to give myself a warm and fuzzy every time I get a message from one of those people. So, but yeah, and of
I can
course
definitely I can definitely see how that helps out in the long run.
it
Um
does. I mean, they made it to a year old. I can see the positive benefits they've made in people's lives, and now we got our second litter sitting in the shop, and we're about to do it all over again. And right now, it's great because they don't move much, they don't do much. But here in a couple weeks, when they're running around, wagging tails and barking, and they can see and hear everything, it's going to get a little crazy.
oh yeah. Probably the best part is when they're tiny and not screaming all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, they do scream. Of course, Wyatt picks them up and moves them quite often, which is what she's doing right now. And when they do that, they scream. So, yeah. But I promised I'd keep this show short today. Like I said, I am exhausted. So, but this is one show I will never cancel if I can help it. I will reschedule it for the next day, but I will never cancel this show or run
Yeah.
a rerun unless it's like during nationals for the CVMA. I probably will not be doing a show during nationals, but I will have either a rebroadcast or somebody come on and do the show for me. So this one is always live. That way, everybody out there has a chance that they can get the help they need, or vent when they need to, or talk about something they need to. So, but
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and call this show complete at 30 minutes so I can get back out there and take care of the puppies. But all right.
All
Thanks
right.
so much, Josh.
You're welcome. Hopefully next time we'll be able to get some of David's friends on here. I know he had mentioned that and he was looking to get on the show.
All right. Yeah. Tell them to reach out. Like I
Yep.
said, I'm a busy man sometimes. So,
All
all right.
right.
Have
Always
fun. I'll
good.
talk to you later. All right, folks. I'm sorry I'm cutting the show short, but like I said, I'm extremely exhausted. We did have 10 puppies. The puppies are on the ground. So go ahead and contact us if you are interested in a pup and tell us your story, and we can go through from there. All right. This is Jason Hyatt, CTW TV Network, Roundtable Ranch. I'm out of here.